Okay, so we have this discussion around Carmageddon with a lot of folks returning to their personal vehicles to get around, and there's a lot of worry about a huge rebound in congestion. So at Cubic, you guys have a paper on what you call the vicious cycle of congestion. What does that mean?
The vicious circle of congestion to us is when we're seeing a lot more peak in traffic flows, and that traffic goes from highways onto arterial roads. And arterial roads are what also the public transport operators are using through buses. And what we see is if more congestion is caused and buses aren't getting to their end destinations on time, and this impacts their service delivery, and that can have a real impact on people choosing buses as a mode of transport, and they may jump and get into their own public vehicles, thus adding to the congestion. And if that happens, then public agencies are going to struggle with the revenue they get from people traveling on the bus, which means they can't even improve their own operations and environments. And therefore, you get into this tumbling circle where they're not getting enough revenue, they can't invest, not enough people are going to be riding public transit, people are going to be using their own vehicles, which is going to add to congestion, and congestion goes up, commuter time goes up, people's customer satisfactions goes down, and then you get a whole modal shift in how people are traveling, and we start all over again.
You guys at Cubic worked with the city of Merida in Mexico to help solve some of their vicious circle and congestion issues. Can you tell us a little bit more about what were some of the tools and strategies that you recommended Merida use?
Yeah, so Merida is such a unique case. They wanted to join the quest to become one of the next generation of smart cities. And for them, public vehicle traffic and buses were the main tools of people getting around their infrastructure. And so Cubic really came in with the mindset of building public and private modes of transportation. So this was a perfect example of getting Merida to not just think about how to effectively create road strategies just based on public traffic, but actually thinking about the public public transport element of it and how buses will impact into that service delivery. And so what we did is we will be implementing our ATMS systems, which will be collecting data from over 300 traffic signal cabinets, over 60 intersections in the city of Merida, and connecting it to our next bus real-time passenger information um, technology, which is embedded within buses. And so what will happen is the buses essentially will be talking to the traffic lights, and the traffic lights will know what the schedule of the buses are. And in order to maintain that they meet their schedules, ensure that the traffic lights remain green as much as possible so that they can make it and not have to start and stop so often. And something as simple as that can really help them to stay on schedule and stay on time and stop this vicious cycle of people not wanting to get on the bus because it might not reach their end destination in time. And the crux of it is having trust in information. I think it's easy for operators to kind of say, we're going to do this and people should use the buses because we've decreased the prices or whatever the strategy is. But if people can't really trust that raw data and know that this bus actually will come in 3 minutes time, or this bus will get me to my job on time and I won't get docked wages because I'm now late, they will trust in that service, they will use that service. And then we really do see a city of Internet of Things coming together, and you have infrastructure actually talking to each other, and an agency creating strategies based off of what's good for the entire transport network and not just one mode or one modal shift.
Yeah, and is there a way to transfer information and schedules to the rider? Is there digital signage or is there a phone app, or how do you deliver that new information to build that trust so people keep riding public transport?
Yeah, so that's a really great point. One of the best examples I can give is from San Francisco and what the Muni there have been doing. So, because of the uncertainties and having to rechange the schedules and timetables in a lot of regions, including San Francisco, we've actually worked with San Francisco MTA to update their service schedules to provide multimedia, LCD, digital displays, both at bus shelters as well as rail, roads, and platforms. We enhanced their mobile app so that travelers actually get real-time trip planning and getting that instant real-time information, because having that accurate and timely information is going to be paramount into them choosing that mode of transport, just like you identified. but also providing the agency with a digital platform to create data analytics so that they can improve their own operation and services and their own KPIs. And so together, travelers can actually find out in real time even things like vehicle occupancies on the buses, so that hopefully they adhere to social distancing norms, and it reduces their wait times and travel times because the information is accurate for them to trust that it will get them to where they need to in the most effective manner.
And I know you guys also worked with Miami-Dade County, um, working with them, and I think this was pre-COVID around reversing in the decline in transit ridership. So can you tell us a little bit about what kind of tools you guys developed and deployed with Miami-Dade County?
Yeah, so Cubic worked with Miami-Dade County on Cubic Interactive, which is a first of its kind loyalty-based advertising service for transit operators and brands. So those people that were using Miami's Go app could actually opt into using Cubic Interactive, and when they engage with advertising content, they could earn stars, which is a proprietary digital currency that they can then redeem with stored value or transit rides or even on third-party services. And it's a great way of brands being able to find a massive audience that they can engage with and provide targeted content, and for a way such as Miami to increase their revenues. And going forward, this would be great when you can use your digital infrastructure as well on like your stations, such as your gates or your ticket vending machines when they're in idle mode, or any digital screens you have in your stations. You can use all of this retail space for advertising as well. But the great thing is you can also use the app for rewarding people on their behaviors. So before COVID, we were trying to incentivize people to use public transport and reward them accordingly. But during the pandemic, you could also change that. So it becomes you're rewarding people for getting a bus that's less crowded, or using a mode at a different point in time because it's less congested, or using a different mode of transport altogether. And that becomes really exciting when you can use the tool to incentivize travel behavior that creates optimum transport networks and efficiencies for everyone across the board. And you can even take this one step further into road user charging and have people be incentivized and nudge their travel routes based off of the time of day they're traveling or the routes that they're taking. And so it's in the best interest of the network as a whole.
Interesting. And you guys also have something at Cubic called the Project Rebound Initiative. And didn't you give us just a quick synopsis of what that is?
Yeah, so when the pandemic first started, Cubic launched a project called Project Rebound, which had an international lens, and we wanted to help agencies across the world restart and reshape their cities, not just for the COVID pandemic, but for them to really think about the mobility strategies and technologies that they would deploy for centuries to come. And it also forced us to think internally about how we were doing our processes and coming to market with agile solutions. And just one quick example I'd love to give is the UK team was approached by a customer, Northern, to help their station staff be safe during people using public transport more. And within 6 weeks of getting that request, we implemented a virtual station control unit, which essentially provided tablets for the station staff to use to talk to the gate lines so that they could open the paddles from the gates, and they could still remain at that 2 meter social distance away from passengers, whereas before you'd have to be right next to them to tap onto the gate to let them go through. And something as simple as that innovation started from the homes, and people had to reconstruct station environments in their living rooms and change their furniture around. And it really showed that innovation can be deployed quickly and at your fingertips and at your homes. You don't need these savvy technologies and a lot of money. You just need passionate people to really go and want to do what's best for our customers and the end travelers.